Good morning. I'm Ed McNeil, Marketing and Communications Director for the City of Winston-Salem, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Benton as we gather to celebrate the graduation of the Winston-Salem Fire Academy's 26th class. Please rise for our procession of the Piedmont Pipes and Drums and Class 26, and remain standing as the Fire Department's Honor Guard presents our national colors. This will be followed by the singing of the national anthem by Winston-Salem State University student Janae Bush. We ask that you place your right hand over your heart at the order to present arms, and that you remove it only at the command to order arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched
Thank you. Please be seated. Chaplain Charles H. Armstrong III will bring our invocation this morning. Chaplain.
Good morning, and congratulations to each and every one of our graduates today. Thank you for all of your hard work for our city. Let's look to God in a word of prayer. Gracious God, we thank you for this another day where we are able to receive all of your many and bountiful blessings in this amazing city of Winston-Salem. God, we thank you for the men and women of the Winston-Salem Fire Department and all of the men and women who work in emergency services in our city. God, we ask this day that you would continue to keep your hand of protection and love on and around them. God, we ask especially this day that you would bless the graduates of the class that will be graduating today. God, we pray that you would continue to allow their sacrifice to be a hallmark and testament to our city. This and many blessings we ask. In the name of your Son, amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Our city is headed by a council made up of 8 members and led by a mayor. Mayor Alan Joines began working for the city in 1971 and retired as a deputy city manager in 2000. He was first elected mayor in 2001 and is now in his 5th term. Combined, he has worked for 47 years for the citizens of Winston-Salem. Please welcome our mayor, Alan Joines.
Thanks, Ed. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great Friday. I know I am as we come together. It's one of the fun days of being a mayor as we get to celebrate the 26th class graduating here, a special day in the lives of these young men and their families, but it's also a special day in the life of Winston-Salem, our community, because as you've heard me say before, public safety is one of the key things, the most important thing that a city government does for its citizens is to keep them safe, fire and police, emergency management, and things of that nature. I want to acknowledge Council Member and Mayor Pro Tem Burke here. We have 3 council members here. Council Member James Taylor, who is chairman of the Public Safety Committee, you'll hear from in just a moment. Council Member Dan Bessie from the Southwest Ward, and Council Member John Larson from the South Ward. To Chief Mayo and his staff, as well as to our keynote speaker, Dr. Clark. We're glad that you're with us here today as well. As I mentioned, the city government is committed to providing strong public safety for its citizens. You know, we're a pretty good-sized city. 245,000 people live here today. We're in a metro area of 1.6 million, so we're a lot of folks together in one place, so providing that public safety extraordinarily important. In my opinion, the role of the mayor and the city council are several things, but basically we need to work with the chief and the city manager and his staff to make sure we're providing the right equipment, the right training, the right facilities, and the right pay for our public safety employees. We've done a great job over the past, I guess, 3 or 4 years of adding new fire stations, redoing older fire stations, and we got more to come. We're committed to make sure our fire department, which I firmly believe is one of the best, if not the best, in the Southeast, and we're doing that. So I'm here today to say thank you to this graduating class. Thank you for stepping up, putting yourself in harm's way, and protecting the citizens of Winston-Salem. You know, you've learned it is a dangerous job, and we appreciate that your willingness to step up and do that for us and for our citizens. I wish you the very, very best in your career. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Joines. Mayor Pro Tem Vivian H. Burke is the longest-serving elected official in our city's history. She was first elected to the Winston-Salem City Council in 1977 and is now serving in her 11th term. Across her 41 years, she spent 36 years as the chairman of our Public Safety Committee. Please welcome Mayor Pro Tem and council member of the Northeast Ward, Vivian H. Burke.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure to be in this great city of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and to be in a city that's progressive. And I want to say to the graduates, congratulations. As I thought about you this morning, I say when I go there, I look at those young faces that will be serving us for 25 years maybe or more, giving of yourselves so that we can be safe in this city. And to the families of the ones who are going to be leading us in the fire department, Chief Mayo, with your staff, and to the family, I would like to say we appreciate you giving to us your sons. I don't see any daughters there, and I'm a little concerned, Chief, because I say, and I've said it when I was public safety chair, when I first got elected in 1977, when Mayor Wayne A. Corporation asked me to be chairman of this public safety committee, and I could only be chairman if the other 7 elected officials voted for me, and they did. And I was very pleased to serve in this position. And Mr. Allen Jones, Mayor Jones was working for the city, and he was assigned to work with this committee with us. You remember, don't you? And as we looked at the public safety, we said we put no dollar sign on the safety for our citizens in this great city. And I want you to know that when the chairman now, Taylor, became the chairman, I was very pleased to step aside and give him this chairmanship. And he's doing a very good job, and he will let you know what he's doing when he comes up here. So I want to say I came here, Chief Mayo, 1 hour earlier. I've been here ever since before 9 o'clock. And this is one of my first meetings events that I have been attending since I had the problem with my foot. And it's getting along better. I can walk without any help. And I want you to know God is doing all of it. And I say to all of the firemen, to all of you, that I feel safe because of you. And I want these young firefighters to know being a fireman becomes more complicated each and every day. And I pray that God will protect you and protect your families. God be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. In the council manager form of government, the city manager oversees the day-to-day operation and the delivery of services. City Manager Lee Garrity is traveling abroad this week and couldn't attend. In his place is Assistant City Manager Ben Rao. Mr. Rao has 22 years of service to the residents of Winston-Salem. He's worked as a budget analyst, the Deputy Director of Budget and Evaluation, and its Director, and he now serves as an Assistant City Manager. Please welcome Mr. Ben Rao.
Thank you, Ed. Good morning. Good morning. Mayor Jones, Mayor Pro Tempore Burke, members of the City Council, Chief Mayo, and distinguished guests. On behalf of City Manager Lee Garrity, I want to congratulate the members of Fire Recruit Class 26 for reaching this important milestone. You have come from many walks of life to arrive at this day. I even understand that one of you has come all the way from California, having worked as a high school football coach, which is a form of public service. After many weeks of intense classroom and physical training, you have taken an important first step in your careers as public servants. You have chosen a career with a singular purpose, to protect and serve this community, and I want to thank you for answering the call to public service. You work in the public arena. You work on the front line, and I know you will carry out your duties with professionalism and courage. And to
Good morning. I'm Ed McNeil, Marketing and Communications Director for the City of Winston-Salem, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Benton as we gather to celebrate the graduation of the Winston-Salem Fire Academy's 26th class. Please rise for our procession of the Piedmont Pipes and Drums and Class 26, and remain standing as the Fire Department's Honor Guard presents our national colors. This will be followed by the singing of the national anthem by Winston-Salem State University student Janae Bush. We ask that you place your right hand over your heart at the order to present arms, and that you remove it only at the command to order arms.
Your fair literally of blood, sweat, and tears. Here you are on the day you've been looking for since January 29th. And I'll remind you all that as good as our training programs are, and in light of the fact that we exceed the state standard for firefighter certification in several critical areas, including self-contained breathing apparatus and firefighter safety and survival, most of your learning is going to occur starting Monday morning when you go on shift. And it's of utmost importance that you stay sharp in three areas. And I heard Chief Byram tell you this earlier this week, but those three things are fire behavior, building construction, and physical fitness. And I'll tell you that those three things are responsible for the deaths of 77% of the firefighters who lost their lives in the line of duty in America last year. Now, I've not read every line of duty death report, but I'll promise you that those firefighters died because they either didn't understand what the smoke in the building were telling them, or because they ate poorly and they didn't get sufficient exercise. So don't fail your crew, don't fail your families, and don't fail yourselves because you became rusty in one or more of those three areas. Now, you all are largely funded by a Department of Homeland Security staffing for adequate fire and emergency response grant, SAFER. And you all represent the first increase in authorized staffing at the firefighter rank since 2008. And your positions will allow us to increase minimum staffing to 4 on five of our critical companies, including 3 engines in East Winston-Salem, on our heavy rescue company, and we have one ladder that does not run at minimum 4-person staffing, and it will come up to minimum of 4. And we forecast that these new positions will increase our compliance with the National Fire Protection Association staffing and deployment standard to 80%. So your effect will be felt and measured. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce this morning's speaker. And, you know, I'm not crazy about cliches. We talk a lot about thinking outside the box. And we have a speaker this morning who does not think outside the box. He thinks in a different area code. Easily one of probably the most out-of-the-box thinker I've ever met, and probably the most out-of-the-box thinker that the fire service has ever known in this country. Dr. Burt Clark entered the fire service in 1970 when he became a volunteer firefighter in Prince George's County, Maryland. He then worked as a career firefighter with the District of Columbia Fire and EMS Department for 8 years. He left D.C. Fire to work at the National Fire Academy, where after 32 years of service, he retired as the Management Sciences Program Chair in 2014. During his time at the NFA, he co-founded the Executive Fire Officer Program in 1987. The Executive Fire Officer Program exists today as a graduate-level curriculum with 4 courses taken over 4 years, with each course requiring submission of an applied research project in the corresponding subject area. Dr. Clark has served as an instructor at the Maryland Fire Rescue Institute. He has been an assistant chief of the Laurel, Maryland Fire Department, and he has been a technical reviewer for the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health's Firefighter Fatality Investigation and Prevention Program. He's been an operations chief for the Federal Emergency Management Agency at multiple national disasters, and I'll tell you that FEMA does a better job than what some in the media will lead you to believe, and Dr. Clark is responsible for a lot of that. He's the author of an untold number of articles that have appeared in various trade journals, as well as the 2015 book, I Can't Save You, But I'll Die Trying, The American Fire Culture. I don't know how far I missed, but as best I can determine, Burt, you gave your first national lecture in 1977. Google has rarely ever failed me. That was, at that time, Burt was speaking about smoke alarms at the National Fire Protection Association convention that year, 1977. And while most would have become entrenched in the status quo 40 years ago, you know, Burt's been waving the flag of change his whole working life. He's an outspoken national advocate for firefighter down awareness and training. That's what we would call in the business of Mayday. And following the death of Amarillo, Texas firefighter Chris Hunto in 2005, who was killed after the door of the fire apparatus he was riding in opened in a turn, and Chris, not wearing a seatbelt, was ejected and killed, Dr. Clark took up the cause of a national safety campaign by developing the National Fire Service Seatbelt Pledge. And it's really unfortunate that we have no way of tracking how many firefighters are alive today who otherwise wouldn't be due to Dr. Clark's efforts. You know, we're sort of like tracking the fire death that never occurred or the fire that never happened. You know, when we have a fire in a building, we know what the loss was, but we don't have a very good way of tracking the loss that never occurred. His latest national cause is helping fire service members, both elected and appointed leaders, and the public at large to understand the influence of culture on how we think about and approach the U.S. fire problem. As he says, society needs to change how it thinks and feels about fire death. When a civilian is killed by fire, it's not an act of God, and when a firefighter is killed, it's not part of the job. He advocates for an automatic, in-place fire protection model that includes fire sprinkler legislation, stronger fire and building codes, more defined urban wildland interface boundaries, and a change in the fire service from a response focus to a prevention focus. And Burt, it's an honor to have you in our midst this morning.
Chief, thank you very much. Chief Mayo is the only one that won't be hugged. We're eye to eye. Chief, Mayor, elected officials, family, firefighters, thank you very much. I'm honored to be here. 46 years ago, I had the privilege and honor to be in your seat. Today, being invited is a higher privilege and greater honor. What a cap on a career. To be there and now to be here, it's fantastic. On November 10th, 1972, I graduated from the District of Columbia Fire Department Class 249. Today, I can't remember what the speakers had to say. And tomorrow, you won't remember what I have to say today. Because the speech really doesn't matter. The question is, what will matter? Why is this important? What will matter to you tomorrow and every day over the next 30 years of your career will be several things. Your health, your family, your pension, and career satisfaction. To have those blessings, it will take courage, commitment, and competency over the next 30 years. On the topic of your health, the fire service has always been and always will be dangerous. That's why only an elite few enter the discipline. Early in my career, my lieutenant told me firefighters have to get killed as part of the job. I have rejected that notion for 30 years. Even after September 11th, I still do not believe that. You must decide today if being injured or killed is part of your job. I pray none of you are ever faced with a World Trade Center event. Since that infamous day, which we all vicariously experienced, the fire service has a new understanding of what's possible. But your job over the next 30 years is to act on the probable every day to ensure your safety, your health, and your survival. And you can do the right thing. Maintain your physical fitness to reduce your risk of a heart attack or cancer, which is our #1 killer. Wear your seatbelt going to and returning from alarms to reduce your risk of automobile accidents. At this moment, I must digress a little bit. On the 4th of July last week, North Carolina lost firefighter Goodnight, responding to a call in his personal vehicle. He had a crash, he was ejected and died. Please take a moment to remember firefighter Goodnight. Thank you. And then just this week, a firefighter in Florida fell out of his fire truck responding to a call. He had to be life flighted. He ended up with a concussion, but as of right now, he's recovering. Use all of your PPE and BSI to protect yourself from lifelong illness. Follow your department's, fire department SOPs and training doctrine, because in every NIOSH firefighter line of duty death report, the firefighter and others around him were not following their SOPs and training doctrine. It is simple, but not always easy, to do the right thing, especially when other people around you are not. It will take courage. From today on, you will have two families, one you live with and one you work with. Few disciplines share the unique characteristic of the fire service. As a firefighter, you have a passport and open invitation to any fire station in the world. Along with this becomes instant friendship and professional credibility. But the fire service cannot take the place of a loving spouse, children, and grandchildren who always want you to come home to them. Your challenge over the next 30 years will be to keep two lovers. Not an easy task, but firefighters are taught to do the impossible. You will know if you've taken care of your two lovers at your next retirement party, if an equal number of fire service colleagues attend out of the contribution that you've made to the discipline, and family members attend out of the love and appreciation you've given them. You will have cared for your two families well. It will take commitment. On the topic of your pension, I will defer to your capable retirement board, your benevolent government, and a grateful community. Now the difficult topic, career satisfaction. Each one of you will have to decide what kind of yardstick am I going to use to measure satisfaction? What will give you fulfillment and gratification? How will it meet your appetites and desires throughout your career? How will that change over time? The fire service discipline is truly a calling that lets you challenge yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. I can't give you a measuring device, but what I'll share with you are 4 ideals that have helped guide me over the past 48 years. First, the art and science of being a firefighter is a life and death vocation that requires you to perform every task 100% correct, 100% of the time. Because over the next 30 years, you do not know which error will result in an accident that leads to a tragedy. Second, society trusts firefighters. Your duty is to act professional, follow a code of ethics, and deliver the highest standard of care. What will help you reach this goal is to treat all people that you run into as family, friends, or neighbors. Third, do your best all the time. Then determine how you can do better the next time. This will require lifelong education, training, practice, and research. Fourth, honor the past. A lot of people and events got you to where you are today. Celebrate this precious present, because that's all any of us ever really get. Believe in the future. You are responsible for creating it. The future is where you will spend the rest of your career. It will take competence. What will matter 30 years from now? I hope you have health, a loving family, and career satisfaction. The price for these blessings will be 30 years of courage, commitment, and competence. In conclusion, I have a favor to ask. 30 years from today, I want you to find the newest member of the fire department, walk up to him, and tell him what you think matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. Each of these graduates successfully completed more than 1,200 hours of training and testing to wear the badge today. Today, they're prepared to take on the task of saving lives and property every day as they serve the citizens of Winston-Salem. Safety and Training Captain Chris Belcher will join us to provide an overview of what it takes to become a Winston-Salem firefighter.
I'd like to welcome the distinguished guests, families, and the recruits. Glad to see y'all here today. Approximately 5.5, 6 months ago, you started off on a trip, a whirlwind trip. During this time, they went through several hours of training. They had 3 weeks of orientation that consisted of various classes, from OSHA classes to bloodborne pathogens, policies, procedures, a whole number of things. Then we jumped right into EMT, which I told you at the very beginning was going to be the toughest part. That stands to hold true. However, they made it. 232 hours of instruction and hands-on, 11 tests, 41 quizzes, a technical scope of practice, evaluations at the end, culminating with the North Carolina State EMT exam. Jumped into fire. There was 400 hours. With numerous tests, numerous skills evaluations. Then hazmat consisted of 40 hours, ending with rescue, which was 64 hours and consisted of 5 tests. And at the end of it all, Wednesday night, as most of the families know, they didn't get home till about 2 or 2:30 in the morning because they had various scenarios just as if they were out in the field riding the truck, which leads to the next thing. These guys are a team. They're a family. In the beginning, About the second week of class, they have to do a motivation run. And as you can see, they're carrying their class flag, otherwise known as a guidon. That guidon represents them. It represents their unit, it represents their team. It stands for their pride, their honor, dedication, and their teamwork. Now at this time, Class 26 will retire their guidon.
Class 26, until two. Retire the guidon. Take seats.
Thank you, Captain Belcher. We'll now begin with our special awards section. Assistant City Manager Ben Rao, Assistant Fire Chief of Safety Training and Special Operations Frank Stowe, and Chief Mayo will present the awards to Class 26. The awards are the Vivian H Burke Character Award, the Outstanding Teammate Award, and the Fire Chiefs Award. Please welcome our presenters.
It is my honor to announce the recipient of the Vivian H Burke Character Award. The dictionary defines character as those attributes and ethical traits that distinguish a person. In essence, character is revealed by what a person does, even when, or especially when, no one is looking. The Vivian H Burke Character Award is named for Council Member and Mayor Pro Tempore Vivian H Burke, who served as chair of the Public Safety Committee for 36 years. This award is given to the recruit in each police and fire recruit training class who best exhibits the qualities of integrity, ethical behavior, and team building ability that demonstrate the strength of their character. The Vivian H Burke Character Award for Recruit Class 26 goes to Chanley P. McKinnon.
Good morning to all. Such a great day for all of us, for the families and for the graduates. Congratulations to you again, and to the families, thank you for all the support that you've given them throughout this entire process. So I have the distinct honor of presenting the Outstanding Teammate Award. This award goes to the recruit who best represents the spirit and attitude of an outstanding teammate. Now, it's hard enough for 3 people to get together and say, well, you were the best, you helped us the most. It's hard for 3 people, but when you get 15 people together, that person that is chosen, and this was voted by the class, so that person that was voted upon really had to be an outstanding person for this team. They're already representing what we need in this department. We need more people who can be a part of a team and not have the I belief. So at this time, I have the privilege of presenting the Outstanding Teammate Award to Jonathan Waterson.
Chiefs Award is presented to the class valedictorian, and attaining such a high academic standing is no small feat. So in the setting of a 40-hour-a-week fire academy, you never get a break from it. The days are long, the nights are long. There just is no break. I don't know how else to say it. You're in class all day, you study most of the night, and you still have to find time to eat and sleep, and time for the family and those sorts of things. If you aren't preparing for an EMT exam, you're practicing tying knots in the dark or rehearsing the steps to share your breathing air with an incapacitated crewmate. It's one skill after another that has to be mastered to a point that it can be performed at the level of unconscious competence under conditions more stressful than most can imagine. This class had an average score of 94% in EMT and 88% in fire. And I think that's a testament both to the quality of the employees we hire and to the level of instruction that they receive during their training period. So, for Class 26, congratulations to the recipient of the Chiefs Award, David Emery.
Now is the time in our ceremony where we hear from the class spokesman about the experience of becoming a Winston-Salem firefighter. Please welcome the spokesman for Class 26, J.R. de Guzman.
Morning, everyone. On behalf of Fire Crew Class 26, we'd like to thank Mayor Alan Joins, Mayor Pro Temp Vivian Burke, council members, esteemed guests for attending our graduation ceremony. We'd like to thank Chief Mayo and all the chiefs, captains, engineers, firefighters, EMT instructors, and all who volunteered their time and effort to prepare us for this day. Of course, we'd like to thank our families for putting up with the long hours at work and for the many late nights studying for exams. We definitely could not be here today without your complete support. I'd like to take a couple minutes and share about the soon-to-be firefighters sitting before you today. We all met for the first time on January 29th, about 6 months ago, and 3 days after that, we were all basically best friends for some reason. I've never met a group of guys that mesh so well, so quickly, and it's been a blast going through the experience together. We may not look at it from first glance, but you can ask for a more diverse group of guys. Our age ranges from 17 to 32. We hail from Baltimore, Seattle, San Francisco, and everywhere in between. We have military veterans ranging from military police, a tank driver, combat engineer, and a combat medic. We have sports coaches, stay-at-home dads, college students. We had one high school student that's since graduated. And we even have an attorney. So some have previous firefighting experience, and some have never driven anything bigger than a hatchback, let alone a fire truck. But they all have one thing in common, and that's the desire to help others, especially now when the alarm goes off and they'll potentially be responding to someone on their worst day, be it fire or medical emergency. Every one of them has a strong personality and differing opinions, and some days it was like herding a bunch of toddlers who just learned how to walk. But they've come a long way, and it's been a pleasure seeing everyone progress and improve. Some have lost significant weight, some have gained confidence and a new perspective, and some have grown up just a little. And I wish I was able to depict and capture the group's collective personalities and little quirks so that you knew exactly what I meant when I say I could not have asked for a better group of guys to go through recruit school with. And that I'm going to miss you guys, hanging out with you every day. The Class 26, it's been a long 6 months as we see it now. And maybe years down the line, it will seem like such a short time, but the friendships and bonds that we've created will last a lifetime. I'm proud of your accomplishments and the journey you're about to embark on. It's been an honor to be your class president, and it's been a pleasure to know each and every one of you. So stay safe, never stop learning, and stay in touch. At this time, we'd like to present Chief Mayo with our class plaque, as well as a token of appreciation for Captain Belcher and Engineer Brendel for being our training captain and class coordinator.
We have a wall down at the training center where we display these, and it will take its place of honor this afternoon. Thank you so much.
It is customary that we call the name of each graduate and have them come forward to be congratulated by the individual seated here on the stage and to join the person they chose to share in the honor of pinning their badge onto their uniform for the first time. If you were selected to do the pinning, please move to the right-hand side of the room and wait until your graduate comes down from the stage. Then join him at the photo wall and help pin the badge onto his uniform for the first time. I'll also ask that you hold your applause until all graduates have received their badges. Now, please welcome Fire Chief Trey Mayo and Assistant Chief of Fire and Life Safety Tad Byram for our badge and certificate presentation.
Class 26, up. So as you all receive your badges, I want you to think about a few things, and understand the history of the badge. So the badge, its origin comes from the Middle Ages. So during the Middle Ages, knights wore suits of armor. They were covered up. They couldn't tell friend from foe. So they carried their shield in their left hand, and they had a coat of arms on the shield. And that was so that they could identify friend from foe. And that coat of arms on the shield has evolved into what we know today as the badge. And because they carried it in their left hand, that's why we wear our badge on the left chest. In the center of your badge, there is a cross that is very often mistakenly identified as a Maltese cross. It is not a Maltese cross. It is St. Florian's cross. And St. Florian was a Roman army officer in the late 3rd century. And when the Roman Emperor Galerius was campaigning against Christianity, and this was in an area that we would know, it was a Celtic region that we would know today as Austria and Slovenia. so let me back up. So Florian's job in the Army was fighting fires. I need to stick to my notes and not try to go off the cuff so much. So Florian's job in the Army was fighting fires, and then he was persecuted by Galerius when Galerius was campaigning against Christianity. He was martyred, thrown into the river Enns, which we would know today as a branch of the Danube River. So when he was martyred, Florian's followers believed that his smoke would carry him to heaven. To prevent that from happening, his persecutors tied a stone around his neck and they threw him in the river to suppress the smoke, to keep him from rising to heaven. So since that time, there have been several miracles witnessed sort of in that area around where Florian was thrown into the river. And as a result of that, Florian has become, he was bestowed the title of saint. So Saint Florian, short of paper, Saint Florian became the patron saint of firefighters, and the 8 points on Florian's cross are known to represent discretion, loyalty, mental adroitness, attentiveness, compassion, thoroughness, gallantry, and perseverance. And I would encourage you to remember those things. And if you always allow those qualities to guide your intent, you will never disgrace your badge. I say to you, congratulations again.
Evan Bryant. Aaron Byington. J.R. de Guzman. David Emery. Paul Enderson. Mitchell Garmer. Cameron Hall. Jacob Klein. Wesley McCaskill. Chanley McKinnon. Levi Park. Austin Shelton. Jonathan Stone. Samuel Walker. Jonathan Watterson. Firefighters, you are held to high standards and given a challenging task of watching over our city around the clock. We all wish you success and long careers in the Winston-Salem family. Congratulations and God bless. Please be seated. To our audience, please remain seated until our graduates and speakers have exited the room. Then join us for a reception in the hallway behind you. You are welcome to return to the photo wall for more photos with your firefighter. That will conclude our program. Thank you so much for being here.
Left, face.